Yes, guys, welcome back to my personal channel. Welcome back to another live stream. Later than I usually do them, but I can't lie, I was this close to not even dropping a stream because there was no real Chelsea news coming out, but news has been filtering throughout the day and throughout the last few days on a couple centre-back options that Chelsea could be looking at the summer. As the title already says, Chelsea are mainly looking for a big centre-back option as their number one target, and they're looking for a high-profile name as well. And we're going to go through and assess a couple of the options in this video. So, guys, strap yourselves in, smash that like and subscribe button. Also, if you guys haven't liked and subscribed anyone else in the panel that we got, check them out. The links are in the title below, so check it out. Press the button, press the like and subscribe button to these man as well. But we're going to go through the panel as per usual. Loz, first off, chat to me, man. How's the last 24, 48 hours been since we last spoke?
It's been good, really. It's been good. I'm still on a bit of a hype. I won't lie. 3 Premier League wins on a bounce. Been a little while. Everyone else other than City, dropping the ball left, right, and centre. So I'm having a good time. Quite frankly, I'm having a good time. And yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to this. Let's talk some centre backs. God knows who we will sign. God knows if we'll sign any of all these people that we have been linked with. But it's a good laugh to talk about it.
Yeah, this one's going to be interesting. I don't expect us to come to a full conclusion in this video. If anything, this is just going to get a basis of the idea of what centre-backs we could be looking at, and also what profile of centre-back would most suit the team that we have now. Monster as well. How's the last 48 hours been for you, my guy?
It's been all right, Yeah, it's been all right. Bit eventful, but it's been all right.
Yeah, I hear that. Guys, smash the like and subscribe button if you guys haven't done so already. We're going to start talking centre-backs, but first thing I do want to say anyway, and we'll start with this. Our number one aim being a main centre-back, and with this in mind that we have 4 centre-backs in our first team right now. Fikayo Tomori on loan, but also most likely leaving the way circumstances are looking right now. Yeah. Mark Gay, Xavier Mbuyamba, Malang Sarr. With all these options, do we necessarily even need another centre-back on top of all of that? Lawrence, I'm going to start with you. What's your thoughts?
It's a tricky one, but I do think if we want to get to that next level of seriously challenging for the Premier League title without it being a weird season and everyone dropping the ball constantly, and even take it a step further and challenge for the Premier League, the Champions League as well, I think yes we do, and I think we need to, as a club, as fans, need to probably start accepting that not everyone we have is maybe sometimes as good as we think they are, and that maybe we just need to get rid of a few people and just, make a bit of a statement and just sign a couple of good players. It probably needs to be that way realistically. I mean, we've had the same defense for God knows how long. Yes, we added Thiago Silva, and he was a big addition for us. And yeah, we had David Luiz in there, but other than that, we've been running around with the same rough, centre-back partnership since John Terry left. Okay, we had Gary Cahill in there for a bit, but at the end of the day, every season we were kind of struggling defensively a little bit. Whether it's individual errors, whether it's at least from Conte's second season onwards, it's kind of been on and off and on and off. And realistically, you probably need to accept that. Sorry to say it, but the likes of Christensen, Rudiger, Zuma's on the edge, kind of surprising me this season. Let's see what happens under Tuchel now. Maybe aren't quite the level that we want them to be if we want to challenge for the league year in, year out. Because their issue at Chelsea has been the last 10 years, yeah, we won 2 Premier League titles. But other than that, we maybe challenged once. And all the other years, we were kind of way off. Like way, way, way off. And for a proper big club, we can't expect us to win it every year. But you need to be there or thereabouts more regularly. And, part of that is having a more consistent level of squad. And we have brilliant depth in certain parts of the pitch. But at centre-back, we have brilliant depth because they're all roughly equally as good as each other once you take Thiago Silva out of that. But they're not at that level where we're going to win the Champions League or the Premier League, year in, year out. Maybe I just turn a bit harsh from one day to another, and that definitely will sound a bit different on another day. But if you put it like that to me, what do we do with all these players when, do we even need anyone when we have all these players? I think we probably do. Mark Way might be a bit of a different one because he's been impressing me a lot at Swansea, but it's also Swansea. Like, we can't expect him to jump into the Premier League, into the Chelsea first team next season and be a regular starter and be as, as important and as vital to us as he is to Swansea, now. And almost similar goes for Ethan Ampadu, although he is obviously that step further. But who knows what Thomas Tuchel has planned for Ampadu anyway. Part of a back 3. Can he play in a back 4 as a centre-back 2? Is he a DM? Who the hell knows?
Yeah, and you said the perfect point as well. We've been echoing this since Tariq Lamptey got sold, where it's the case that all of these players that we have, and we have a brilliant academy that's always going to be churning out talents, but not all of them are going to make it at Chelsea. Fact is, there's only 11 starting 11 spots, and there's some points where we have 2 or 3 players from our academy fighting for that position. Monster as well, I'm going to ask you, what's your thoughts on the massive amount of centre backs that we already have? And who do you see potentially leaving in the summer? Like, it could be on loan, it could be a permanent transfer as well. Obviously, the Tomori one is the obvious one because he already looks like he's basically out the door. But who else do you see leaving?
We've got quite a few centre backs. If I name them, we've got Silva, Gueye, Rudiger, Zuma, Christensen, Tomori. Umbuyamba I wouldn't put in that conversation because at the same time he's only 18 years old, meaning he's still going to probably even be in a development squad, if we're being honest. So he doesn't necessarily have to come into the squad. He can still be in a development squad for another 1 or 2 years. Then he can go out on loan. So I wouldn't put him in the conversation. Tomori could unfortunately be out on loan, gone, sold at the end of the season. Really hurts me to say that, but I wish, to me, I rate him so highly. I rate him, I thought, barring the fact that Zuma is better aerially, I thought Tomori was better overall than Zuma. I just thought Zuma was more commanding in the air. But he's gone. Obviously, Guehi, I know a lot of people are talking about Guehi. Hold on, someone asking for my volume. That better. With Guehi, one thing I would say about Guehi is, although he's performing well at Swansea, and it's in a championship, it's not the Premier League. Let's not get it twisted. I say, Guehi, when he comes back at the end of the season, let him have a Premier League loan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So send him out on loan in the Premier League, see how he copes with the Premier League. So that's that with Guehi.
With that in mind, sorry, just to interrupt. With that in mind, do you think we should have done that with Tomori as well? Because same way Tomori balled out in the championship, we had him at Chelsea, worked for a little bit, but same way he just never got the right amount of game time that he should have had.
Well, he was supposed to go to Everton, and Chelsea stopped that from happening. And then obviously West Ham came along, but he didn't really want to go to West Ham. He wanted to go to Everton under Ancelotti. And obviously now he's at AC Milan, the school, one of the best places to learn defense. That's where Thiago Silva learned. If people remember, Thiago Silva, when he was at AC Milan, was the best centre back in the world for about 5 years. And this is including the time when John Terry and Rio Ferdinand and all these guys were about. Thiago Silva was undisputedly the best centre back in the world. Rudiger, I think, will probably be sold. I would say watch the space on Christensen and Kurt Zuma as well. Don't get it twisted. Either of those could be sold as well now, innit? Obviously, I think Thiago Silva will be given another year. But I wouldn't be surprised if a good 2 to 3 centre-backs, Tomori being one of them and another, maybe 1 or 2, will be sold in the summer. And there will be spaces for whether it's Varane, Upamecano. After from what I've seen from the Daily Telegraph today, it seems like David Alaba is not coming to Chelsea anymore because of the wage. The wages him and Pini Zahavi are demanding, so that's not going to happen. So you're either going to, and Chelsea will buy a centre-back in the summer. It's either going to be Upamecano, it's either going to be Varane. If he doesn't sign a contract, then I saw on the 5th stand, apparently we're linked to Konate as well, so it could be him. And there's a lot of options. So it would be one of those guys.
Yeah, there are a lot of options, and you've already named 3 of them, but we are going to go through them 1v1. You started it perfectly as well, and that was the player that we were going to start off with, David Alaba. Now, as we all know, David Alaba's out of contract in the summer, and even though Lampard's gone, we can't say it, but it fits the same mold of transfer that we've been trying to make as well. And to be honest, seeing as half those transfers were Marina transfers anyway, it still fits the same sort of mold of Chelsea transfer where he's versatile and he can play in numerous positions. Now, Real Madrid are still meant to be clear favourites to sign David Alaba, and like you already said as well, Monster, Chelsea are very unwilling to meet his 400k a week wage demands, which is also coming off the fact that he would be joining us on a free contract. Now, Lawrence, I'm going to go to you for this also because Australian brothers and that, it feels like perfect to do it anyway. But David Alaba.
Oh, he's Austrian. Am I bugging?
Austrian. Did I say Austria? I said Austria, right?
What did you say?
Australia.
I thought I said Austria. Did I say Australia? I thought I said Switzerland for a second. I was going to be able to tell me I did.
Switzerland would have been quite
Thank
good.
God. No, I swear I said Austria, but same way. Thoughts on David Alaba, and even though, do you still see any possibility in this transfer happening unless we can get the wage deal lowered? Because that's the only thing that's stopping the two transfers.
I mean, obviously, in an ideal world, I would love that to happen simply because he is Austrian. And don't get me wrong, he's also a very good player. Is he the best centre-back in the world? Probably not. Would he work next to Thiago Silva in a back four? Probably not, because then you have absolutely zero height in your team, because that's why he was used to be a left-back, first and foremost. Yeah, of course, he brings a lot of versatility, he can play a left-back. He's still one of the best left-backs out there, I would argue. Very good centre-back, can certainly play as a DM. That's what he does for Austria more often than not.
Allow it. I can't be asked.
Hey, it happens. First of all, the wage demands, they're just crazy. But personally, ever since Fabrizio Romano, early in January, I think, or mid-January, whenever it was, said that he's going to Real Madrid, ever since then, anything that's come out saying, oh, he could go there and could go there, to me, that's just his agent playing a little bit of games with the media, making sure that Real Madrid get that deal done. And don't wait too long, because I'm sure he and, his agent want his future, sorted. Don't want to wait too long. Players don't want to live in this uncertainty when they don't know where they're going to be next year. You want to be looking for a house. You want to be looking for everything. You want to be sorting your bank account, whatever else. Of course, they have people doing that for you and it works last minute. But ideally, all of these players are more comfortable if it's done in time. And, I'm sure if we would put in an offer of £400,000 a week, I'm sure he would change his mind and probably join us rather than Real Madrid. Not that he's necessarily a money grabber as such. I wouldn't necessarily define it like that, considering he's been at Bayern Munich for 13 bloody years. Obviously joined them as a 15-year-old from a Vienna academy. Then it would happen, but we're never going to offer him that much money. And at that point, he's probably going to Real Madrid. And if not Real Madrid, I think it's more likely for him to actually re-sign with Bayern Munich than come to us.
Yeah, I was going to say this as well, because I like him and he would be perfect in terms of the fact we could play him in numerous positions, and that would be perfect for Thomas Tuchel's side. But 400k a week, like, we've trashed our wage structure enough with the Callum Hudson-Odoi big issue back in 2018 with Bayern Munich. It definitely wouldn't be worth us doing this again, especially if you've got Tammy Abraham, who's complaining about 120k a week potential contract extension, only to go and throw another 400k at David Alaba. Final thoughts, though. As a defender, would have been a great option for us, but neither of us see this one happening anyway.
Yeah, with Alaba, it's the thing where I'm looking at him as, where is he gonna play? Is he better than, in terms of as a left back, is he better than Chilwell? Okay, fair. Yes, he is. As a centre back in the Premier League, this is not the La Liga. This is the Premier League. Is he that guy? Is he really better as a centre back than what we have? I'm not too sure. I don't think it's 400k a week worth. Do you know what I mean? Especially if we can go get Upamecano, who his wages might not even be 200k if we get him. We could go get Varane, even though it's Alaba's free, but we're not too. Remember who his agent is. His agent is Pini Zahavi. Obviously, he's got quite a good relationship with Chelsea, but he's that agent fees and all of that is not going to be cheap. It only looks good in terms of on our accounting books. It comes in as a free transfer. It's not going to cost anything. It won't affect us in terms of financial fair play, but I think it would be good for Chelsea to just go with the other guys, because they are specialist centre backs. I'm not. Alaba's not a specialist centre back. Do you know what I mean? I don't really think the left back position is really something we need to. It's not a priority in terms of getting a player in either, innit? So I think it's better we go and buy a specialist centre back rather than a utility player who's not necessarily a specialist centre back, innit? Just don't think it's worth it. Great player though, great player.
Yeah, I hear that. Obviously, no one is trying to question his ability, but like we said, it's just the huge wages that are the only thing separating this sort of transfer. Deep State saying if we didn't buy Chilwell or sold Alonso, 400k a week would have made much more sense. It still wouldn't have, because you'd still be paying one player 400k a week, and then for him, you do that. Yeah, you do that, and then you try and get Kai Havertz or Timo Werner to sign a contract extension. It's going to be an absolute madness, or any one of our other actual key players at that point.
I mean, you do have to take a little bit into consideration if you compare it to Kai Havertz. Obviously, we paid what, £80 million for him on a 5-year contract. Well, then divide 80 million by that, and divide it down as if it was weekly wages, and add that to his wages, to his actual wages. You're probably not far off the 400k. Now, that's where it comes from, because he is a free agent. As much as 400k sounds ridiculous, but players of Alaba's quality, he's what, 28 or something, 29. So at the very prime of his career, you would be paying 50, 60 million as well. So usually his wages would probably be 250, 300k. And then you add that up for a 5-year deal, which, he wouldn't be staying for longer than that. And if you add that up after you split it for the weeks, you probably get to somewhere around 400k. So as much as the 400k sounds crazy, that does, you do have to think about the fact that he would be free and not 80 million or 60 million pounds. That does play a little bit. But I still don't think it will happen.
But that's why it'd be better in terms of a transfer. If it's a transfer, it's a free transfer. You're only worrying about the wages. But it's about when you're trying to have future negotiations with other players, and then they'll be pointing saying, sorry, this guy's on 400k a week. What are you doing trying to hand me 160k a week? What's this? If he's providing that. And also with the previous comment that we had as well, a potential Aubameyang, not in terms of dropping in form, or actually, no, definitely in case of dropping in form, because you see in the case of Aubameyang, he's got given that massive 375k a week contract, and he's just never had that same levels of motivation since. And I'm worried if we get David Alaba, we'd be in a similar situation, because if anything, it would make more sense with Alaba. Alaba's won everything there is to win. He's stat-padded league titles for years. He could come to Chelsea and not give a shit. Just straight up, just be like, yeah, cool, I'm about. He'll still be solid and everything like that, but he won't be the same David Alaba that you've seen in previous years, because the motivation level simply wouldn't be there. You've given him a free post of a 400k a week contract. It's not to say he'll completely drop off the face of the earth like Aubameyang will, but to say he'll be at the same level that he was at Bayern Munich, I don't think so, because money is a huge motivational factor as well.
And therefore, I just think once you get a different motivation in terms of you've won the Bundesliga 9-10 times by the time he leaves, just going to the Premier League is
Champions Leagues as well.
No, sure, yeah, but I'm saying it's a different challenge to be in the Premier League, so he wants to win something different. I don't think this would happen, but I don't think the motivation would be the big issue.
I just don't think it would drop as much as Aubameyang's would, because that would be a massive extreme. But I just also think it won't be the same. But go on,
what's mad as well? If it doesn't work out as well, say he doesn't necessarily work at Chelsea, getting rid of him is going to be extremely hard. You saw the situation with Mesut Ozil. Luckily, they did end up getting rid of him at the end, but I think they had to pay it. They must have had to pay off the wages, in it. But you saw that. You don't want to go through. Chelsea are smart in that sense anyway. They don't do these things where they just give a player whatever in terms of wages. They don't do that. Chelsea are very smart in these situations. So I trust Chelsea to know what they're doing.
Yeah, big up gesture as well with the donation, saying the only centre back I don't want to bring in is Willy Saliba. You see, I'm not going to speak too much on Willy Saliba, because I heard that might not be good for future prospects. But same way, it's a madness. Whatever's been going around in the France dressing room, it's an absolute madness.
That is a watching that. That was I saw about, but as soon as the camera panned to the man next to him doing what he's doing, I saw Saliba cheesing I was like, I'm out. I can't watch the rest of this, innit? You know what I mean? But
no one was even deep in the other guy for the most part.
That's the thing.
Saliba.
No one deep the fact
himself.
Yeah, no one deep the fact what he was doing. No one seemed to care that Saliba was filming it. Everyone seemed to just be chill about the whole situation. I'm like, what are you lot doing?
How casual do you have? Maybe it's because I ain't been in dressing rooms like that often.
Bro,
how casual you gotta be? You're just sitting there, just jacking. No, let me not talk.
Lewis, things like that don't happen in dressing rooms, bro. That's people are saying, oh yeah, well he was young, he was 16, bro. That's not. don't do them things even at 16 years old. Like no one does that, bro.
Yeah,
Who even buy
that's the
that?
thing,
He was
bruv.
16 anyway. Like he looks the exact same as he does now.
Yeah, no, he was. It was a couple years ago because I don't remember France. They're under 21s or whatever playing in them for a long time anyway. So it had to have been like last year or something.
Yeah, like you were saying, like
It's a different
I
culture.
can see people walking around by themselves like that. People can walk around like after they've been showering or something. They're probably naked. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But
Like
that
I've
I've
been
never seen that.
I've been in
What?
dressing rooms, and yeah, obviously it's normal for man them to be naked after taking a shower and stuff. That's normal things, isn't it? But what they were doing is not the same thing, bro. It's not the same, and I don't know why. Like you will be filming that anyway, but yeah, it's just mad, isn't it? But yeah, let's move on, man.
Yeah, let us move on. And just like the super chat has said, let us move on to our next one. Dayot Upamecano, and this one is just a big transfer saga, which is probably going to go on for the rest of the summer as well. Chelsea, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich are being earmarked as the only teams that Upamecano has to choose from. Manchester United apparently have no more chances this summer, which means that United have probably just done the typical Man United thing and tried to lowball the entire transfer and just been blown out of the water. First questions I do want to ask. Do you lot think RB Leipzig are looking to try and play everybody against each other on this one? Because I am hearing now Bayern Munich, and we're going to go into the later rumours with Sule and Jerome Boateng as well, and that could be just a ploy to try and take our eyes off Upamecano as well. But Lawrence, what's your thoughts, bro?
Am I wrong in thinking that Upamecano has a buyout clause for like 42 million?
It is a release clause, so it doesn't.
Is it this season or next?
I think this season. Haaland's is next season.
Okay,
yeah,
it's this season, so there's no bidding war or anything. It's whoever he chooses to sign with. That's all.
Yeah, whoever gives him the most wages, realistically, or the project he likes most.
Yes.
Okay, then realistically, like it's a very more level playing field. Obviously, if he wants to stay in the Bundesliga and stay in a league that he already has a good understanding of, he's probably going to pick Bayern Munich. And that's half the reason why people are saying Bayern Munich are favourites now at this point. But as a level playing field, Liverpool, like for example, they need centre-backs and they're struggling right now. And especially with how poor their transfer window was in hindsight. I only say in hindsight because initially it looked like it was decent. They only needed to increase the competition around their squad. They did that with Jota. They did that with Thiago as well. Now they're struggling without centre-backs. You know the first thing they're doing is going in for a centre-back in the summer. Chelsea is... Go on.
Can I just say, Liverpool, by the time Upamecano's saga properly starts, he will be... They would have had Gomez and Van Dijk back in it. And, well, forget about Matip because he's injury-prone. Plus, they just have the two. They have the two they've just bought. I don't think it's necessarily a level playing field. I think Bayern are scared of Chelsea. They are scared. Hence why they're playing these dirty tactics they're doing with the Sula and the Jerome Boateng. They know what they're doing because the thing is, now the Premier League can't. I mean, no league out there can compete with the money the Premier League has. Bayern know they can't compete. If they buy Upamecano now, that will probably be the only transfer they will probably do in terms of buying a high-profile player this season. That'll be it. They don't have the same amount of money. It's not on a level playing field. So that's why they are seeing them employ the tactics of, Chelsea have agreed to sign to sign Jerome Boateng. Complete nonsense, bro. You know that's nonsense. Chelsea are interested in Sula. Come on, we're not stupid here. They know what they're doing. You've seen the Bayern, what's his name, the chairman or whatever he is, come out and be speaking about Chelsea wanting him and blah blah. They're playing their usual game. They did this with Havertz. They tried to do it with Callum Hudson-Odoi, and they lost both. They lost both. Do you know what I mean? Fair enough. They got one of our academy products in what's the striker's name again? I've forgotten his name. But I don't think this is a game they probably won't win, and they're scared they will probably lose because what Chelsea have to offer will be better than what they have to offer in it. So yeah.
But in terms of what though? Just in terms of money, or because I'm thinking if you're talking in terms of what you can achieve. Bayern Munich still looks like the much more attractive option, even compared to us.
Not necessarily. Everyone wants to come to the Premier League now. It is, yes, it is money. If it's a thing where, what do you call it? Chelsea want to If you want to just, all right, you're going to win trophies and blah, blah. Fair enough. That's fair. But what the Premier League offer now is much more attractive than any other league. It's just what it is. It might be a hard league to play in, but what they in the packages, the money, everything, what it brings to players now is the Premier League is more attractive. That's why you're seeing a lot of players come here now, isn't it? You know, you're going to see a lot more players come into the Premier League. Other leagues just can't compete anymore. There's just too much money involved in the Premier League.
Damn right. To be honest, the way you're sounding, you're making me feel slightly more optimistic about Upamecano. First thing I do want to say, big up worldwide Chelsea in the cut. What are you saying, man?
Sorry I'm late, man. I was driving
No
central.
worries, bro. What was that? Was that a takeout run or what?
Yeah, to do quick pickup, man.
Oh, quick pickup. All right, cool. We won't speak too
Deliveroo
much
not exist?
It's 45 minutes away, bro.
Damn.
Ah, mad.
Effort.
That food must be good, bruv. You know what I mean?
No, it is. I'll send Lewis a pic still. So if you
Oh,
want to
so
share
yo,
that,
you can yam it in the stream. It's cool, man. I don't mind. But Upamecano, chat to me, man. What's your thoughts?
yeah, we're saying like depends on what we actually want. Someone with experience or someone that has potential to be world class. That's what we have to ask ourselves now. So, you know, we're talking about Marquinhos, Jose Gimenez, people that are already established, or you want players like Upamecano. So, depends on what the ambition is at this club. That's all. So I'm not too fast where he comes in. Like you said on my stream, we've got so many defenders on loan. What's going to happen to them? We need to make sure we sort our actual future out first before signing these players.
Yeah,
there does come a point. Sorry.
I'll go for it.
There does come a point, I think, when Chelsea have to kind of start thinking about whether they want to start winning things now or whether they consistently want to buy for the future. Because Upamecano is a good centre-back, one of the best at being an aggressive tackler, like, you know, tackling and, you know, attacking the guy in front of him. But positionally, aerially, there's players a lot better out there than him, you know? There's a reason. I mean,
well, I didn't even know this, but I checked. You know, he's like 6'2", right? He's a big guy.
He is a big guy, but hey, Christensen is a big guy.
But Upamecano's
wins aerial duels. I'm just saying.
Upamecano is not just big; he's wide as well. Like he's not no, you know, pushover. Christensen, no offense, he's a tall guy, but he's a bit of a pushover. Do you know what I mean? You can't push Upamecano over. Like he's not a joke. Do you know what I mean?
No. I'm not even trying to like diss him or anything like that. I'm just saying he is good, you know, and he is probably very good. But is he? And he is someone that with potential will grow into probably a world-class centre-back. But that's what I'm saying. Do Chelsea want to keep signing like that? And every year we're going to say, yeah, next year he's going to be good. And 2 years later he's going to be good. Or do we want to start winning things now at some point? And I'm not saying that signing Upamecano or someone else would be the decisive factor here. But that's what we've been doing for a few years. Even Ben Chilwell. I mean, yeah, he's been at Leicester and competing for top 4, but he wasn't there when they won the league. So, you know, he was a young and up-and-coming player who we hope to develop into a world-class player. The same goes for Havertz. As much as he was one of the most talented players in the entire world, and, you know, having stats at his young age that Messi and Ronaldo had at that age, still crazy. And even the same goes for Timo Werner. It's all these players that we say, yeah, wait until they're 24, 25, 26, 27. Yeah, but if we want to win things right now, want to compete with Man City, who have all of that right now, then we need to start buying players that have it right now as well at some point.
But if you say you had if Thiago Silva continues the way he's going, because it looks like they're going to give him another contract, you buy Upamecano and put him next to Thiago Silva. Is that not a Premier League winning duo? Am I wrong?
It might be. Like I said, I don't think Upamecano is the decisive one in my whole argument that I'm making, but I do think we can't just sign young players and have Thiago Silva in the team, because where on earth is the experience coming from then? I mean, especially if we're in a title race, you know, the nerves do start kicking up. And if you have a few players that have experienced that is an advantage to have. And if you only have one guy that actually knows that, is a bit of a more tricky one. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I don't want him. I'm not saying I want to go all out for him. I'm just saying maybe Chelsea should keep that in mind. And I'm sure they are. Just want to make that point. Sorry, everyone keep going.
No, that's cool. I mean, you're on the concept talking about imposing centre-backs. He's not the only RB Leipzig defender that we're interested in. We're also interested in Konate, and I really wish that was a better photo than that. Oh my gosh. But yeah, he definitely fits the alleged requirements that the Chelsea board are looking for in a centre-back. Young, physically colossal, stands at 6'4" tall, and Chelsea also had a bid rejected for him in 2019. Now, there's been a few question marks on Twitter about which one would even be the better centre-back to suit us, because they're all saying that Upamecano is good, but he also isn't exactly the finished product, where Konate is more of a natural centre-back, whereas Upamecano is more of a ball-playing centre-back. Monster, I'm going to go to you first. What's your thoughts? Konate or Upamecano? Who would you prefer to see?
The thing is, we have to be realistic. Konate right now, I know Chelsea, it looks, they're saying Chelsea are in for him, but I don't know if they are. I feel like everyone's, and he's going to go a bit more expensive because he doesn't necessarily have a release clause this season, innit? So I just feel like Upamecano's the more realistic one. Now, who would I choose between the two? I don't know. I would actually go for either or. Do you know what I mean? They're both great centre backs. So Upamecano is better when it comes to ball playing, but obviously you can see Konate is bigger, not that much bigger, but a little bigger and a little more imposing. But they're both as imposing as, you know what I mean? There's not much difference between the two. I would take either of them, man. They're both good centre backs, innit? But I think right now, because of his release clause, Upamecano is more realistic as of right now, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
They're both great though. They're both great.
Yeah, because it's not really, it's a bit hard to try and push either one out the other, because they're both decent in their own way. It's just both of them aren't the finished article either. They're both two very young centre backs.
What's Konate? About 21 years old? He's younger, innit? I swear he's younger.
Yeah.
Are they the same
Let
age?
me just double check Konate. Yeah, he's 21 years old.
Yeah, and Upamecano's 22, so it's like a year's difference.
It's just a case of what do you prefer. Do you prefer someone who's a bit more technical, or do you prefer someone who's just a bit more like your cliched defender?
Yeah.
Lawrence,
to be fair, Konate turns 22 in May as well, so not far.
Yeah, so there's nothing too much to separate the pair of them. I just wanted to get you guys' preference. Sadiq, have you got any options?
Yeah, I mean, well, not NSG, but Konate, injury prone, man. The next Christian Pulisic. Last season missed over 20 games. This season missed 9 games. Got to keep an eye on these things. Young man getting injuries. So
man does his research. I love it.
Yeah, I forgot even about this, but this is Konate's injury history, and it's looking very frequent. That in the last year, there's been a minimum of 3, maybe 4 injuries on top, and then you got the torn muscle fiber from 2019 as well. It's a bit of a sticky one for him still.
Missing a couple games.
The question is as well is where does France? What kind of factory do they have? Talent after talent after talent. Like, it's just getting mad. Like, when you look at the defense, they got obviously Varane. I don't even know if you want to mention Koscielny, but they got Zuma, Upamecano. They got so much from Titi. They got so much in it. And then in midfield, they got like Kante, Pogba, Camavinga, Owa,
Tolisso as well.
Huh?
Tolisso as well.
Tolisso. They just got Ndombele. They just got, like, these guys have just got so much time. It's ridiculous, bruv. Like, it is so ridiculous. Where did they get these? Where's the factory at, bro? England's got some talent as well, but you know how the shit the coaching is, isn't it? But
I want to know how much money they put into their grassroots, because that's got to be the only real explanation to it.
I think it's just Paris. Chances are all of these guys are from Paris suburbs.
Yeah, it's not even just grassroots. It's like you saw what Riyad Mahrez said. You know, he says when he's out in France, like everywhere he goes, all the parks are just filled up with kids playing football. Whereas when you come to England, they got parks everywhere, but they're not filled with kids playing football, innit? Do you know what I mean? In England, it's just the coaching from grassroots as well in England is shocking. And this is coming from someone who's been through the ranks. The coaching in England is absolutely terrible. From grassroots to the England international team, it is shocking, isn't it? So yeah.
Okay, what do you think we're missing the most then in terms of our coaching compared to France? Kind of put you on the spot there,
everything.
but go for it.
The manager, fam.
Everything is bad. Like the coach, I remember like I did a little something in Spain, and I remember like the way they play football on the ground, beautiful, learning how to pass, learning the basics, things like that. And then in England, it's like them man can't keep the ball on the ground, they're hoofing it up in the air, win the header, that type of football. It's like, bruv, that's not football. Do you know what I mean? Do you know how frustrated I used to get when I used to always tell them, man, bruv, keep the ball on the ground. Let's play some football. But before you know, you'd pass to the next man. The man have hoofed it 50 yards up the pitch and expecting someone to head it down, bro. That's not football, man. That's not football, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
is that still not getting better at all either?
it looked like it was getting better with the under-17s, the under-20s. That's why you saw them playing good football with Callum Hudson-Odoi, Sancho, and these guys were playing good football. They won world championships, but then when they come into the England frame, you've seen with Gareth Southgate, an absolute clown of a manager. You see the rubbish all over again, isn't it? It's never gonna get any better. It's not. Like, I got friends who are coaches, and they tell me like England are not going anywhere because from grassroots to the top, the coaching is an absolute mess.
Mad. Okay, cool. Well, with that in mind, shit. Well, we ain't winning any World Cups anytime soon, but it is what it is, I guess. Like, we're not used to it anyway. We'll move on to the next centre back. We'll talk about Raphael Varane, who Chelsea are to a lesser extent interested in, from what Simon Phillips is reporting. Real Madrid are apparently willing to negotiate a fee around 50 million euros, but I don't know if I'm going to take that one as gospel. Varane's deal at Real Madrid ends in the June of 2022, and he's considering not renewing his deal and leaving the Spanish club. Madrid will try to convince Varane to renew his deal, but if no commitment is made, reports are saying that they will try to sell him this summer. Now, first things first, I want to know, do you not think that this sounds convincing, or do you think this is another case where it's just a player trying to angle for a new contract? Loz, I'll start with you.
It's both.
Well, it's probably both, isn't it? It's probably both. I think if it's trying to angle for a new contract, this 50 million, fee that they're talking about is almost too good to be true. Like, obviously, Varane isn't maybe as good as especially people that just play FIFA think he is, as much as he is very good and one of the fastest centre-backs you'll find. He does need Ramos next to him to be really good. The positive is we do have Thiago Silva next to him. So, I guess that will work in that sense. But, Thiago's only got 1 year left after that, realistically. He's not going to play at 38, 39. I mean, I do actually say that he might stick around for that extra season if we do offer it to him, just because I'm sure he will probably want to play in the 2022 World Cup as well. And obviously he'll need to be at a top club to be, part of the Brazil squad for that, realistically. Although I say that, I mean, their home World Cup striker was Fred, who was playing in the Brazilian league. So maybe you don't actually need that as a Brazil player. Who knows? But it's a weird one. Like Varane, I mean, they won La Liga last season. People seem to forget that, right? Just because they for once didn't win the Champions League, just because we're just so used to them doing that. They still won La Liga last season. And yeah, Ramos is certainly the more standout centre-back of the two. But he still won, 4 Champions Leagues and La Liga? And he can't be that bad. Like, people say he's a fraud and he makes mistakes, and he does. And people probably only remember the game against Man City that knocked Real Madrid out. And yes, he had a shocker of a game. So he's not as good as some people think, but he's also not as bad as some other people think. So if we were offered him, would I take him? Maybe yes, maybe no. It's a tricky one. I don't see it happening. Why? I don't see him leaving Real Madrid personally. But hey, Monster, maybe correct me.
The thing is with Varane, it's both, as you said, Lewis. Yeah, it is a thing where he's probably using Chelsea to get a new contract, but at the same time, if that contract don't come, then he could possibly end up at Chelsea, innit? I think Varane, he's someone that I've followed since he was 18 or 19 years old when Jose brought him in to Real Madrid, and I thought, wow, what a player this guy is. He was quick, he was big guy as well, very impressive with the ball. I thought an amazing player. Obviously, last season we did see him just pull off a disaster class against Man City as well. I'm not even going to sit there and lie. That was horrible to watch, considering he's one of my favorite players, isn't it? But I still think he's class. As Lauren said, though, that FIFA card, absolutely disgusting. It's you, man, that be using that card need to stop. It's terrible, bro. I don't know what FIFA were doing making my man.
Why I don't play Ultimate Team this year, because jammy cards like this one just ruined the whole game.
Stop it with the Varane on one, Varane, Gomez, what's the Mendy and what's the Wolves
Walker.
the Wolves player on the other side?
Oh, Semedo, yeah.
Semedo, stop it, bruv. It's not fair, bruv. It's ridiculous. Sweaty players. But yeah, he is a great player though, isn't it? I would be happy to have him at Chelsea, honestly. I would be happy if he came at Chelsea. Came to Chelsea. I wouldn't mind. I'll take him.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, because I'm trying to look at it from a middle perspective. Okay, he's not the world's greatest like he's been hyped up to be, but I'm hearing comments here saying French Rudiger and stuff like that. And no, like if Varane joined us, he would improve our squad. You need someone who's a bit more calm and composed next to him, but French Rudiger is an absolute madness. He is not at that level of a player because he would not be playing for Real Madrid consistently if he was that easy to be exposed. Sadiq, you got any thoughts as well?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm just shocked at that comment, fam. French Rudiger. That's
comment section's been roasting in the last.
That's something else, bro. That's something else. That's next level.
I think that's just people disrespecting La Liga, I won't lie. And I'm not saying La Liga is as good as the Premier League, but people need to respect where a lot of the last, 10, 15 years, the large majority of Champions League winners have come from, and Europa League winners.
Lorenz, let me just say, the Spanish League is as good as the Premier League. One thing we need to get right is that the Premier League is more exciting than any other league. Doesn't make it the best. It just makes it, in terms of when you put La Liga teams against Premier League teams and they play together, majority of the La Liga teams will smash the living daylights out of the Premier League teams because they play better football. We saw it in Europe.
Wolves proved you wrong for that last season when they absolutely battered Espanyol in the Europa League.
But they lost to Sevilla.
Yeah, but Sevilla is another step above Wolves, so you can't compare.
Well, they weren't even in the top 4 though.
Sevilla's always a big team, bro. Sevilla's always a big team.
Sevilla is like Man United, but they're in the Europa League. It's the same thing, really. But the one thing I will say, the weird thing is, I would say La Liga is arguably more exciting because people there don't defend. You don't see the games we had against Wolves and Burnley. That don't happen in the Liga. No one sits back an entire game and tries to just keep out Barcelona and Real Madrid. That barely happens. You could argue that's because they're more expansive, but I also think they don't accept.
They're not scared.
They're not as good.
In La Liga, they're not. The difference between the Premier League and La Liga is in La Liga, all teams are not fit. They don't care whether you're Barcelona, you're Real Madrid, apart from Atletico Madrid. Everyone's going to play football. Do you know what I mean? But in the Premier League, if you, this is why Liverpool and Man City were able to get like a 99, 100 points, 98 points, because the smaller teams don't want to play football. They just want to come and park 12 man behind the ball and let Man City and Liverpool just smash them to bits.
Half the team parks the bus here. It's actually shameful, but most of the other leagues you see, it's honestly bad.
So when I hear people
even
say,
then, that's why I say the most exciting league in Europe. It's not really. It's just more likely that there's to be shocks, and if anything, that says more about the players at the top of the league than the actual league in general. Because you look at other leagues like Ligue 1, like the fucking Spanish league, Serie A as well. These lot, you only have a select amount of teams, and they're always churning out points. Here, it's never really the case. Maybe you have one team that does it, but it's never consistent. Man City will do it for 1 or 2 years, and then a Liverpool will turn up. And then Liverpool will turn up for 1 year, and now you see now they're absolutely in the mud. Only one team's ever retained the Premier League title since 2008-09, when Sir Alex Ferguson was stat padding it. And those are the differences.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, look at just when we played Ligue 1 teams, French teams recently. Like, yeah, we beat them, but we struggled against Rennes away from home. Yeah, at home we didn't, but that's because they gave us a penalty and got a red card. And then away from home, that wasn't an easy game. Yeah, we won. And the same goes for Lille last season. Like, these are not easy games, and people will say, oh, Farmers League, and they're bad teams, and we should be battering them. That's just because people don't put respect on these people's names.
Because most people don't watch other leagues. They don't watch other leagues. They don't watch them play. Yeah. This season, I'm not going to lie, I haven't really watched a lot of other leagues. Normally, I do. Like last season, I was watching a lot of the French league, the German league. But yeah, most people that I don't mean this to be abusive or anything, but in England we are quite arrogant and we think our league is the end all and be all.
Yeah.
And we don't really consider what other teams in Europe do, and that's why we end up being surprised that they beat us. Do you know what I mean? Who would have thought? I said it with myself. I said if Liverpool or Man City were to face Bayern Munich last season, they will wipe the floor with they will beat Bayern Munich. I mean, you saw them lot couldn't even get past Atletico Madrid and Lyon, and it wasn't by coincidence that they lost to these teams. They got Liverpool got absolutely smacked by Atletico, and and what's it called? Man City comfortably lost as well to Lyon. Lyon didn't even get top 4 last season. That's how bad it was. Sam Owa was there tearing apart Man City's midfield. Not even a joke. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, we do need to put some respect on other leagues' names.
Especially when I hear things like Kane is better than Lewandowski. I'm like, bro, you people need to start watching Lewandowski a bit more.
See, I don't like that debate. I respect Harry Kane. I can't throw too much slander on his name, even if he is a Spurs player.
No.
But Lewandowski's different. Lewandowski is completely different. Kane is on a level of his own, but it's showing how high the standards are. Because
I want to see if Kane is listened. I don't mean to disrespect Kane because what he's done this season is amazing. He's got a lot of goals, got a lot of assists because he's added that element to his game. But let's see. If he gets into Europe, let's see what he can do in it. Like, forget all the talk of he's better, he's that. Listen, them man have done it. They've done it at the top. Do you know what I mean? Let's see what Kane can do in it. Let's see what you can do in Europe when they put you in a Champions League final. Obviously, yeah, he did get injured. I don't think Tottenham probably shouldn't have. Maybe they shouldn't have brought him back. But let's see what you can do. These man here, they'll do it anywhere on the planet, anywhere. Let's see what Kane can do. When Kane came up against Croatia, had the chance to do something, at least even square it. So you saw what he did, didn't it? You know what I mean?
That's just Spurs.
I mean, Lewandowski is breaking an all-time Bundesliga record at the moment in this season. He's got, I think, after 17, 18 games, the man's on like 24 goals. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Like, people don't understand how crazy that is.
It's so disrespectful when I hear like people talking about, Kane's better than Drogba, and all that. Like, stop it. Like, let's not even go there. Like, Kane could never. He's been in finals. He could never. Do you know what I mean? As people try to disrespect Drogba, like Drogba wasn't the highest goal scorer in a Premier League winning season. He's 2-time Golden Boot winner, 10 goals in 10 finals. Like Harry Kane, you could never. He could never. Do you know what I mean? He ain't on that level.
Kane's quality, but Didier Drogba in his prime, you can't touch this guy. Like, we speak about his records. All I would say is, yeah, cool. There's so many Premier League players, so many good Premier League strikers with more league goals than Drogba. If Lampard was not at Chelsea and Drogba was taking those penalties,
more goals,
it's a different story. He will be up there with the Thierry Henrys. He's going to be up there with, maybe Alan Shearer's a bit of a stretch. But with other players, at the very least, fucking Jamie Vardy and Darren Bent, he'd be above the pair of them. The only difference is fucking penalties. That's the only difference. But
I wouldn't listen. Thierry Henry to me, GOAT striker in terms of the Premier League should be number one. I still put Drogba up there with them. Maybe not better, but I'll put Drogba just behind the likes of Thierry Henry. Alan Shearer, maybe maybe a level above Drogba as well. Aguero's about Drogba's level, or maybe just a little above. You could say that as well. But Kane is nowhere near. Like, he's not on them man's level. Like, Kane, stop it. Like,
not yet. Like, he might be one day, but not yet.
Not for Tottenham.
No. Nah, you can't be up there if you don't win anything ever. Like, as much as this is individual skill we're talking about here.
Rooney too's up there as well. Like, Rooney's up there.
Yeah. If you never win nothing, you can't even, like, it's about personal ambition as well. As much as like club loyalty is well and good. If you want to be considered as one of the very, very best, you need to win shit.
Yeah, I mean, I always take the piss out of Gerrard and say, he didn't win a Premier League, but I I can't forget what he did for Liverpool in terms of dragging them to that Champions League final and winning it. Do you know what I mean? Kane had his chance and he's flopped every time. Let's see what he does in this Carabao Cup final now that they have coming up. Let's see how he does there.
It's mad if that's the pinnacle of his time at Tottenham, the Carabao Cup, but that's about as Tottenham as it gets, man. I can't lie. We'll move on to the next two players. I do want to say as well before we leave, Manchester City isn't really for everybody. We move. Now, final thing as well, Romagnoli. Anyone got any thoughts on Romagnoli? Big up to Josie on the super chat as well. I didn't really do too much research on this guy.
It's like 2-3 years old rumor, isn't it? We were linked to him 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, it's a familiar name from a few years back, but I don't really see this one happening unless we try and find a way to fit that with the Tomori deal. And I feel like we should be more likely trying to get Tomori back.
Yeah, he's not going nowhere. That's an AC Milan legend in the making. Let's just forget about that one.
Yeah.
That's another situation.
I spoke to an AC Milan fan like maybe a month back now, and obviously I watch Serie A, but mostly I end up catching highlights rather than actually being able to watch full games. And obviously then it's impossible to judge a centre back, right? But this AC Milan fan, even though they were top of the league, but telling me Romagnoli's been poor all season, I'm like, are you sure? And he was dead certain about it. So I don't know.
They haven't. I mean, that's why maybe they signed Tomori back up. Maybe, who knows?
He's an AC Milan legend in the making, man. He's not leaving AC Milan.
Are they still first? Are they still first?
Yeah.
I think they are.
They are. Yeah.
They're still first, but from what I've heard, it's Kaja that's been having the biggest season out of the pair of them so far. I hope I didn't pronounce his name terribly as well.
I think you might have done if you mean Kier.
Yeah, absolutely butchered it. Thank you. Yeah, my point still stands.
Oh, yeah, he's the actual Danish Maldini, you know.
You call him casual.
All right, so moving on. Actually moving on because we do want to wrap this up. Half the people watching already left for the Man United match. Sule or Boateng? Now, it's considered highly likely that either one of these two are going to be leaving in the summer. And I'll be real, Boateng I can already throw out there. I just don't think this one's happening because it's too similar of a profile of centre-back to Thiago Silva. And Thiago Silva's already levels above Boateng in my point of view, so this one's not happening either. Sule is a decent option. I'd rate it if it wasn't for the injuries. Like, those two ACL injuries have killed this guy. And I think the same thing with Sule after the form that he's had before those ACL injuries. Bayern wouldn't be selling him unless there was a reason for why they'd be trying to sell him. So I wanted to leave this one to the end, but what's your thoughts on both of them? Loz, we'll start with you.
It's a tough one because Sule, like you said, since his injury, he's maybe saying half the player is harsh, but not the player he was before. He's not a starting centre-back for Bayern Munich behind Boateng and Alaba. So people that are saying, Boateng's washed up and Sule is so much better. Yeah, okay, Boateng's a lot older, so I'll give you that part. But other than that, they are starting Boateng and Alaba 9 times out of 10. And Sule is, at the moment, the rotational player, right? Boateng obviously has age against him. Let me just get up how old he is. He must be like 32 or something.
I think he's like 33.
Let me just...
He's 32, yeah, turns 33 next September. So, this coming September. So he certainly isn't young, but hey, neither is Thiago Silva, and look at that. So, and Jerome Boateng has certainly had proper remontada. Do you know what I mean? Like a proper rejuvenation under their new manager, Hansi Flick, obviously since he took over from Niko Kovac. So he's been mad, ever since he took over. I mean, just think about that. Last season, ever since their new manager took over, they lost 2 games out of like 30 or something crazy in all competitions. And this is including going to the Champions League final and winning it. So, and he was one of their starting centre-backs in all of that. Is he maybe as good as, I don't know, some other people? Maybe not. But this is also probably comes back to not rating other leagues as much. Don't forget, them men won the treble. Them men were by far the best team in the world in the summer. And they're also top of the Bundesliga again. And the guy starts every week. I'm not saying I want Boateng. I'm not saying I think we'll get Boateng. I'm saying people need to give these people a little bit of credit. We can't sit here and talk up the likes of, I don't know, Zuma like crazy, no, not Christensen, but Zuma like crazy. And I rate Zuma, but we can't talk up a Zuma and run around dissing like the likes of Boateng. Like it don't work like that.
Oh no, I don't think it's a case of slating Boateng. Like he's a quality defender still at this age, but I think he's similar to Thiago Silva, where even for their high standards, they're like past their peak a little bit more, and you need to have players around them that can mask their deficiencies. And we already have that for Thiago Silva. We're not exactly going to play Thiago Silva and Boateng together now, are we?
The one positive with Boateng, let me say, obviously the German national team, they've scrapped him from the squad after the World Cup, him, Müller and Hummels. So that would actually be an older player that gets 2 weeks off 6 times a year or 5 times a year every international break, rather than Thiago Silva, who we can't play every time after the international break because he's flying back from bloody South America. So that is a positive and will certainly extend his career, similar to how it was with John Terry. The fact that he retired from England so early was part of the reason why he was as good as he was in Jose's title-winning season and playing every minute of every game. So I'm not sitting here saying, Boateng is awful. I'm even out here saying he's close to his prime right now. I mean, mind you, centre-backs at 32, centre-backs between 30 and 33, I reckon centre-backs is probably where they hit their very peak, I would argue, because centre-back is less so than an attacking player, is where experience becomes, plays an even bigger role. Say a forward, right, probably hits their prime, especially wingers between 25 and 28. While I would reckon a centre-back and a striker probably hit it a bit later.
I would say no with Boateng.
Okay.
Number one, he's Bayern Munich scraps and they know what they're doing. There's a reason why they're getting rid of him. Number two, we all know, or maybe we forgot about Boateng's first go around in the Premier League.
Yeah.
At Man City. Didn't go too well. Didn't go well at all. If any of you lot remember.
Yeah,
I think it was
2011 season.
Yeah, I think it was 2009, was it? Wasn't it?
Was it?
Whatever season.
It's a long time ago.
I can't remember, but it didn't work out at all.
Yeah, it was one season anyway.
Yeah, it didn't work out. So I wouldn't bring him back to Chelsea. It just doesn't make sense. I just feel like also as well, remember Bayern Munich plays such a high line as well. So Chelsea don't really play that high up the pitch. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense having both Boateng and Thiago Silva in a team that make it a very, very slow team, innit? It wouldn't make sense to me, innit? I just think I don't even think Chelsea are interested in him. I just think it's Bayern Munich doing all they can to try and get Upamecano into their team. They know what they're doing. They're slimy people, man. They play these games, innit? So I wouldn't necessarily trust this news in general. I think he's coming to. I don't know where he's going. They're going to release him, but I think it's a bad idea for Chelsea to get him or Sula. I think Chelsea should let them both go where they're going. If they want to stay at Bayern, let them stay. Go for Upamecano. Don't get any of those two in it.
Yeah, I also think it's a possibility that it's Boateng's people trying to make sure he gets another contract at Bayern, because I don't see them getting rid of Boateng and Alaba for free in the same summer. I don't think they do that. That's two of their main 3 centre-backs, because obviously they've used Hernandez mostly as a backup left-back to Alphonso Davies. So as much as he is a centre-back, and also Pavard can play as a centre-back, that would be getting rid of 2 of their 3 main centre-backs, right? Even if they get Upamecano in, they're still only left with 2. So I don't see Boateng and Alaba leaving. I think eventually Boateng will sign a new contract, but hey, we'll see.
Yeah, the one thing I did want to say as well, because we're going to talk about contract, 210k a week that Boateng's on. It's
coming down like Thiago Silva.
That better be coming down if we're thinking of getting him. As a final question before we wrap this one up, out of all the centre-backs that we've mentioned, or even ones that we may not have mentioned, who's the number one that you want to see come in? We'll start with you, Lawrence. Pappy. Big up Pappy, man. The 100% pass accuracy. You're damn right.
Come on.
Yeah, go on, Loz. Chat to me.
We've done a Thiago Silva madness. Who knows if Ramos signs a new contract at Real Madrid? If the man ain't signing a new contract, though, I'm snapping up Ramos. Let's just win
Ramos,
2 Premier League titles.
I was saying that I was meant to go back to it, but yeah, Sergio Ramos. You take him on a free.
Obviously. It's not happening, right? But hey, if we have Thiago Silva and Ramos as centre-back pairing, we're winning the next 2 Premier Leagues, then both of them are gone and we have different problems to solve. But in that time, we'd be moving mad. Not happening, right? Out of the ones that are somewhat realistic, probably Upamecano is the top of the bunch, but I'm not 100% sold by any of them. If I'm going to be totally honest with you, I don't think any of them, including Upamecano, is the one that comes in next season and takes us a step up. Personally, Upamecano will do that within a couple of years because the guy's only 22. Like, we have to be, respectful to players that are 22. I mean, we big up Mason Mount. Look at what Mason Mount's doing at 22. Yeah, if he was 25, maybe we wouldn't be bigging it up quite as much, right? And this is no discredit to Mason Mount in the slightest so far this season, right? But I would like Upamecano out of the lot, but he wouldn't take us to just him signing him. I wouldn't say, okay, now we're going to win the Premier League.
Okay, Sadiq, same question to you. Sergio Ramos for free, we'll throw that one in as well because we didn't mention that. And what's your best centre-back option for the summer if you could just randomly pick one up?
Has to be either Marquinhos or Varane. I want someone with experience coming in, for sure. Upamecano obviously makes sense for the fee. Bayern Munich haven't spent more than 45 mil, I think it was. Something around that. So maybe he's probably going to go there, in my opinion. I feel like that's already confirmed. Like, we're talking about Alaba, talking about Boateng. Huh?
Not confirmed.
You know it's going to happen, man.
Bro, they said that about Havertz. Look what happened.
No, but Havertz on the pandemic, fam.
But we are exactly. We're in a pandemic still. I don't think you understand that. The pull power Chelsea in the Premier League has now. I don't think you lot. Bayern Munich know. Do you know what I mean? They know.
I'm sure Bayern Munich got something on their sleeves, bro.
Nah, Bayern are smart, man.
They know what they're doing.
They are smart. They are smart, but they don't have the financial power to go against the Premier League anymore. Not anymore.
But I mean, they're smart as they can anticipate that.
Like, they can try.
They got Sane.
There's a reason why. Don't get me wrong. You're right. Bayern Munich is it's an easier draw, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's going to a league where he's not really going to compete in the league. He's always going to win the league. Only place he's going to compete is the Champions League, innit? But if we're being honest, bro, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, Bayern Munich know they know now, because you've even heard their owners and board members talk about it, that it's tough to compete against the Premier League and the money they have. They've said it with their own mouths. They know they're scared. That's why they're pulling these tactics they're trying to pull. Or else they would have known they would have gotten him already. But it doesn't work like that anymore.
Luckily, this guy's got a release clause, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, luckily for them. If he didn't have a release clause,
that's what I'm saying.
It would have been peak for them.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just in terms of wages, I don't think Chelsea would break the bank super crazy so that Bayern could match it for a 22-year-old centre-back. That's why I think Bayern could match it if he prefers that as an option. They could get close enough in terms of wage offer.
With a release clauses, no one's gonna pay over anything. Everyone's gonna pay the release clause. It then becomes a situation where both teams are gonna contact him, and he decides on his own accord who he's gonna choose. That's how basically it works with the release clause. So it is down to his decision. It's down to both clubs to try and convince him to come.
They'll tap him up, fam. Like Lewandowski, they'll tap him up.
There's not really any tapping up involved when it comes to release clause. Right now, Chelsea can negotiate with him, and so can Bayern Munich. That's how it works. They can both negotiate with him. There's no tapping up involved anymore. Both are permitted to speak to him.
Chatting to him, yeah, of course.
Gimenez is an option as well. That's interesting, but it's
injury prone, bro.
Yeah, I was going to say the
super expensive.
They want 120 mil for that guy, and there is no way Marina is paying that. But injury prone, that just even throws it even more into the water. Yeah, Gimenez ain't happening anyway. Monster, final question. Which centre back out of all the options would you want to go for first? I don't know if you've already answered it or not, but just go for it.
Obviously, are we just talking about the ones we're talking about today? If it's the ones we're talking about today, then yeah.
The ones today or realistic options? Because if
realistic
not,
options,
Van Dijk.
No, realistically, it would be Upamecano number one. Yeah, Upamecano will be number one.
All right, cool. Well, guys, I know everyone's going to be heading off to the Manchester United West Ham match. I think that's already started. So, guys, if you haven't done it already, smash the like and subscribe button, not just to myself, but to all the other lovely panel as well that's been around. Worldwide Chelsea. Shit, I just realized I got to drop your link in the description. One sec, I'll sort that out. But yeah, Lawrence and Monster's link are in the title, so literally just click their links and it'll send you straight to the title as well. Let us know in the comment section down below what players you'd like to see come for Chelsea, not just in defence, but any other positions as well, because realistically, we could be looking at a couple of other positions as well as centre-back, especially with all the options that we have, which is my original question in the first place. But guys, smash the like and subscribe button if you guys haven't done so already. Big up all the panel for joining us as well. Take care. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Probably be doing a Barnsley preview, but I'll shout you guys whenever we're doing it anyway. Guys, smash the like and subscribe button. Take care. We'll see you soon. Up the Chelsea.